sounds like you have good stuff and bad stuff separate. But they're not. They're at the same time. So I mean, I understand why they're confused about it. Okay, so Genesis 41, 2-7 tells the story, and here's what it's a picture of. 7 good and 7 bad. Now, the bad on earth is called the birth pangs. In Hebrew, that's called Chevlei HaMashiach. Say Chevlei. Chevlei, that means birth pangs. It actually means twisted cord, like the umbilical cord, or to be twisted up in agony. Birth pangs. Chevlei HaMashiach. You guys ever see the movie The Chosen?
Yeah.
There's a part where the old Rebbe, the Hasidic Rebbe, is singing with his little boy. His little son is about 7 years old, and he's putting him to bed. He's singing. What he's singing is Chevlei HaMashiach, Chevlei HaMashiach. He's singing birth pangs of Messiah, and it's a happy song to go to sleep on.
He's looking for the good.
He's actually singing for Messiah.
Chevlei HaMashiach. Yeah, the frothing of God's mouth. Right. But I'm telling you, in Judaism, it is so many times in the Bible, they don't avoid it. It's God's word, so they embrace it.
When you think about it, if they have Mashiach, okay, birth pains, yeah, people painful, but there's going to be a baby, you know?
Yes, there's going to be a baby.
Oh, that's good.
Okay,
That's good.
so let's look at that. Psalm 48.
That is
Very good.
That's very good. There's going to be a baby born. Let me be a baby. Psalm 48.
Wow.
Verse 6. Well, verse 1. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. The city of our God is holy mountain. Beautiful in elevation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, way up north in heaven. City of the great King. Verse 4. 48:4. The kings assembled themselves. They passed by together. They saw it. They were amazed. They were terrified. They fled in alarm. Panic seized them there at Zion. Anguish as of a woman in childbirth.
This makes sense then.
All right? Let's go to Isaiah 13. Isaiah 13.
Who wrote that?
David.
For the sons of Korah.
Oh, sons of Korah.
No, it says for.
That means it was written by the sons of Korah. It was written by the priests. All right, Isaiah 13, verse 6. Wail, for the day of the Lord is near. It will come as destruction from the Almighty. Therefore, all hands will fall limp, and every man's heart will melt. They will be terrified. Pains and anguish will take hold of them. They will writhe like a woman in Chevlei, birth pangs.
Just because they looked at him up.
Isn't that weird?
Ooh.
Isn't that weird?
No, it makes so much sense,
It
guys.
does make sense because they're looking at the kingdom.
But they're the evil people looking at the good.
Oh.
And they're like, oh my
Really?
gosh.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Have you ever read the book of Revelation?
Yes.
That's the birth pangs.
I've actually been involved in many
Okay, that's
church Bible studies that taught everything opposite of what is true.
that's pretty broken.
Yeah.
That's why they're freaking out. Because of all the stuff that's described in the book of Revelation is described in the prophets, in the passages that say birth pangs.
See, you can't even see that they're the bad kings. I didn't even
But
see
look,
that.
in Psalms 48, it was so perfect because it's a great is God, and He's greatly to be praised. And here's the beautiful city that's on the north side, and it's beautiful and it's spectacular. And then the next verse, and they fell to their face trembling, and they were running away because they were so frightened.
Obviously, it's got different perspective.
But
It makes so much sense.
Can I say
Horrible.
something?
I was thinking, man, I believe.
do you remember that dream I had years ago where it was I could see this valley and I thought it was raining, but it was like, what is this? And as you looked closer, it wasn't rain, it was like people were attacking
Isn't that nice?
knives. It was knives, and they were glistening in the light, and they were attacking the Jews. And then I was seeing all these Israeli men, and they were in their uniforms, and they were just pushing and pushing. What are they doing? They were giving birth, and it was birth pangs. But it was like the water wasn't water; it was just blood. It was just horrible. But it was all the birth pangs. I mean, there's part of the dream, but that specific part.
Wow.
And it was just, it was chilling.
Okay, let's go to Isaiah 21.
Crazy.
Thank you. Isaiah 21:2.
Were they giving birth to?
We'll find out. Let's keep reading. A harsh vision has been shown to me. The treacherous one still deals treacherously, and the destroyer still destroys. Go up, Elam, that's Persia. Lay siege, Media. I have made an end, a miketz, of all the groaning she has caused. For this reason, my loins are full of anguish. Pains have seized me, like the pains of a woman in tefilah. Isaiah 26. Verse 16. O Lord, they sought you in distress. That's sarim. Sarim, trouble, tribulation. Isaiah 26:16. They could only whisper a prayer. Your chastening was upon them. As the pregnant woman approaches to give birth, she writhes and cries out in her labor pains. Thus we were before you, O Lord. We were pregnant. We writhed to give birth, as it were, to nothing, to wind. We could not accomplish deliverance for the earth, nor were inhabitants of the world born. Your dead will live, your corpses will rise. You who lie in the dust will wake up and shout for joy. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
The birth pains are right there with the resurrection.
Yes.
They happen at the same moment.
The dead will rise and the dead will rise.
The birth pangs happen and they begin at the same moment the resurrection takes place. Verse 19, your dead will live, your corpses will rise. You who lie in the dust, wake up and shout for joy. For your dew is as the dew of the dawn, and the earth will give birth to the departed spirits. So part of the birth pangs is the resurrection. The earth spitting out, so to speak, all these dead bodies to be resurrected.
During the time of the resurrection, they're going to see Messiah come.
No,
No?
Messiah doesn't come anywhere near. What are you talking about? That's
No,
hold on.
I think
You're thinking like a Christian. You think day of the Lord and you immediately think Jesus is coming. No, he's not. He does not come during the day of the Lord. He doesn't come during the resurrection at the day of the Lord.
comes later.
He comes later,
Towards
at
the
the
seventh
end
trumpet.
of the birth pangs.
So when we go up, but we've gone up.
This is describing us going to the resurrection.
We go up,
At the moment the birth pangs start.
To meet him in the air.
And
but we meet him.
And then he takes us up for the 7 years.
look what happens. It describes it. Verse 20.
So it's like,
Don't try to describe it from the New Testament. Describe it from the Old Testament. This came first.
okay.
Come, my people who've been resurrected, enter into your marriage chamber,
There, right, that's what we learned.
and close your doors behind you. Hide for a little while until the birth pangs run their course.
Right.
Until it's over.
See,
We go up.
For behold.
see, we don't have to go through that. Right?
Yeah, but you're supposed to know about it intimately. Okay.
So who are the ones that don't go through that? I mean, the Jews that,
What?
well, the Jews, because he says all.
Well, wait,
all
you need to finish the sentence for me to know what you're asking.
Okay, who will go up in the resurrection? Or
All the righteous.
all the righteous? Does that include the Jews, even though they don't
All
know
the
Messiah?
righteous.
Because they know. the
All
word.
those who are righteous. All those who are born again. All those who have blood covering their spirit. All those who...
Well, will they be grafted?
Please, I'm trying. You're asking me 7 different things. I'm trying to get you to one. So you got to pay attention.
Okay.
This is hard. It's not easy. All those who are righteous are all those whose spirit is alive. We are born with a dead spirit. Everybody. When your spirit is made alive, you are righteous. That's who it's talking about. Period. So whoever that is, that's who it is. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So we are told that the birth pangs take place at the same moment as the resurrection and the same moment as the wedding. Because
Yes.
describe the wedding.
Right.
All right. Let's go to
They go to Hagar.
the Hagar. Where's Hagar?
That's the word.
Isaiah 66.
Hagar.
Hagar.
Hey there.
Hagar. How you doing? Hagar. How you doing? Isaiah 66, verse 7. This one can get confusing. This one can get confusing.
Okay.
Verse 7. Before she travailed. Travail is birth pains.
Okay.
Before she travailed, she brought forth. Before she went into birth pains, she brought forth.
All the shadows that happened before.
That's it.
All the
That's
shadows.
exactly it. Before her pain came, just try to follow it and then I'll explain. Before her pain came, she gave birth to a boy.
That sounds like us talking about Yeshua.
That's talking about the resurrection.
Because see now she's
No.
well, let me
Guys,
just
we got to get through the verse for us to even talk about it.
all right, go ahead, read it.
Before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her pain came, she gave birth to a boy. Who heard such a thing? Who has seen such a thing? Can a lamb be born in one day? So in this verse, what's he talking about? Is he talking about people?
No, he's talking about
He's
land.
talking about land. He's talking about the nation of Israel as a nation. That's what this passage is about. And it describes it as birth pains. Why? Because it's going to happen again. All those things that happened in the past are a shadow of what's going to happen in the future. And so that's why he's saying, before they even went into birth pains, they brought forth a boy. A nation. A nation.
I guess
They
we
always
need to-
refer to it as a purple.
No, but
Not
she-
You know what? That's very true.
Not here.
Wow, that's very
Hey,
true.
Israel. Was Israel a man or a woman?
A woman.
Was Israel a man or a woman?
But here's the
Describe
thing.
Was Israel
Oh,
a man or a
When
woman?
the church
First
always
always
refers to Israel as a
No, the scripture.
Are they talking about Messiah
That's
here?
the land.
A man child.
Just asking.
A man boy baby.
Yeah.
A Jew, Israel.
If you want me to answer, I'll answer, but if you don't, if you talk about it, I can't answer. All right, who is her today? Can a lamb be born in a day? Can a nation be brought forth all at once? As soon as Zion travailed, she also brought forth her sons, plural. Shall I bring to the point of birth and not give delivery? Or shall I who gives delivery shut the womb? Now this is different. This is talking about the birth of the nation of Israel, which was not pleasant. How was the nation of Israel born? They went through the Holocaust. They went through the Holocaust.
Yeah, pretty much.
The birth pains. And then give birth to a baby, and the nation of Israel is born.
And as soon as they were in the land, immediately they were being
But
attacked.
I don't have my question yet. I would like you to answer my question.
Okay.
Because you said Zion, she gives birth to her
Yes,
son.
and I tried to answer you. Who was Jacob? Was Israel a guy or a girl?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of times, Israel, if it's talking about the nation of Israel, it will call the nation of Israel a he. Sometimes it will call her a she. It depends on if she's going to have babies or not. Boys can't have babies. She is going to give birth. She, the nation of Israel, is going to give birth. We don't know what yet. You asked, what does she give birth to? We haven't gotten there yet.
Well,
But in this case, it's not talking about the birth pains in the day of the Lord. It's talking about the birth pains that give birth to the nation of Israel. A he. A he.
Well, Israel is supposed to be a picture of God, and God has a feminine side and a male side.
So true. But he was asking specifically, why would it say he instead of she? You don't look like I've answered your question.
Yeah, you did. I just now I have to accept it. I
Oh.
can take weeks.
Oh, that's it. Well, working.
Well, see, a lot of people use that to say that, Israel is, certain practices are godly, like men being married to men and things like that.
That has nothing to do with anything. We're talking about prophecy, about the day of the Lord. Period. That's what we're talking about. That is our subject matter that we're looking at.
Good.
If you keep it there, it'll be able to help. All right. Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah 30. Verse 5. For thus says the Lord, I have heard the sound of terror, of dread, and there's no shalom. Ask now and see if a male can give birth. Can a male give birth? No. Then why do I see every man with his hands on his loins, like a woman in childbirth? And why have all faces turned pale? Alas, for that day. The day of the Lord is great. There's none like it. And it is a time of Jacob's trouble. His tsar, his, what do they call it in the church? Tribulation. Tribulation. It's the same word for tribulation. It is the time of Jacob's trouble, but he will be saved from it. So, we're getting closer to who's being born. Who's being born? Can you see it here? Who's being born? Who's being born?
Someone who will save him.
Israel.
Who's being born?
Israel.
Well, I didn't say who's giving birth. I said who's being born. Who's the baby?
Yeah.
Well, I can't really tell you. I can see men, Israel, going to burn their pain. I see that, but I can't see who's being born yet. I'm trying to get you into my mind how I study. I just let it paint a picture for me. I just go through it from the beginning to the end, and just let it paint a picture and see what it says. By the way, I've only given you 1/3 of the birth pains passages here.
Because we're not even halfway through.
It's taking way too long to do this. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Yeah, we're going to jump way there. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Now there it said that that day, the birth pains, is linked with the day of the Lord, just like the other passages we saw. They're always linked with the day of the Lord. So, before we read this, look at me. All the passages about the birth pangs are linked with the day of the Lord. Yes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now Christians will say to you, do you believe in pre-trib rapture? Now you see how confusing and just, it's the wrong words.
Wrong question.
The birth pangs are in the day of the Lord. How long do they last?
7 years.
1 week. Daniel's missing week. They last 1 week, 7 years. Okay? They're at the beginning of the day of the Lord.
Right. There's a whole 699 or 693 years left.
Right.
No.
993.
Is that right?
Okay?
Something like that.
So
993.
you've got to change your words in your head. You've got to change your thinking. Don't think pre-trib rapture, post-trib rapture. No such word as rapture, any question. It's the birth pangs take place in the first 7 years of the day of the Lord. Is that getting clearer? Is it getting clearer? It's not clear yet, maybe, but it's getting clearer right now.
Let us settle.
Okay, I hope the blood is settled. All right, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Now as to the times and epochs, brothers, you have no need of anything to be written to you, because you know full well that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night, while they are saying peace and safety. So what's going to come to them like a thief?
The
The day of the
The
Lord.
day of the Lord, not the Lord. The day of the day. Bible never says the Lord comes like a
Right.
thief.
It's always the day.
It's always the day. The day of the Lord will come to them while they are saying peace and safety. Then destruction will come upon them suddenly, like birth pangs upon a woman with child. And they shall not escape. But you,
Yeah, totally different.
who know, who I don't need to write anything, because you know perfectly well. Because you are not in darkness, that the day should overtake you like a thief. You're all sons of light and sons of dark and sons of day. We're not with night or darkness. Okay? We still don't know what's being given birth to, do we? Do we?
I don't.
pain. The day of the Lord is always, always, always linked with birth pains. Birth pains is always, always, always linked with the day of the Lord. Revelation chapter 12. Now we will answer the question. Because we're at the end of the book.
We'll show you.
We're at the end of the book. We're supposed to know by now, by the way.
Right.
Right? He didn't destine us for the phobia of the mouth. Okay, Revelation 12. A great sign, great picture appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun. Who's that?
Israel.
Who's the sun?
Oh,
No.
Shia.
No.
No,
Oh,
that's it's Jacob.
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 And the moon under her feet. Who's the moon?
Jacob.
Mom,
Yeah, it's a female.
Rachel.
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 And on her head a crown of 12 stars. Who are the 12 stars?
This
12
nation.
tribes.
12 tribes.
The 12 tribes of Israel. Remember Joseph's dream from last Torah portion, last week. We saw the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowing down to him. Him being Joseph. Now there's 12 stars because Joseph is included.
Who's Rachel?
Yeah, the moon is Rachel, so the sun is Jacob. And she, so who is she?
Where we at?
Who is she? She's clothed with the sun and the moon and the stars. Who is she?
That's Israel.
The nation of Israel.
Israel.
This is the nation of Israel. She, the nation of Israel, was with child. Just like we saw in all those verses in the
Yeah.
prophets, she was pregnant. She was ready to give birth. She is the nation of Israel. And she cried out, being in labor and in pain to give birth. Then he makes us wait. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads were 7 crowns, and his tail swept away a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she gave birth, she might gobble up the child. And she gave birth to a son, a male child who was to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. Psalm 2. Who is that?
Yeshua.
That's the Messiah. That's who's born. That's why it's called birth pains. That's why the rabbi, the Rebbe was singing, birth pains of Messiah. Because it's the Messiah being born in Israel. Israel gives birth to their baby, which is Yeshua.
I saw something that you said that when Yeshua was born, he grew up and he started his ministry. He said today in the reading of this, well, I can't remember where it was, but he said the kingdom of heaven is here
Yes.
with you. So that must be a picture of when the kingdom, when he comes.
That is 100% dead on. What he said, he went everywhere preaching what?
The kingdom.
The kingdom of heaven. And people are born again, and what happens? They become little messiahs. Because the Messiah is born in us. And we become little messiahs. Which is a picture of what's going to happen in the future. Where the real Messiah will reign over the whole world and will be his little servants. Because we are born again. We have Messiah born in us. Well, this is that concept, only huge, where the entire nation of Israel gets born again.
Right.
The whole nation of Israel gets born again. That's the culmination of that. All of Israel shall be saved. During the birth pains.
See,
But it's the birth pains that cause Israel to be saved. It's not preaching Jesus Christ to them.
No.
It's the birth pains, the trouble, the horrible things that will cause Israel to be
because
born.
these are the people in between.
What caused the nation of Israel to come about?
Correct.
The Holocaust.
Everything about
Only correct.
tongue will confess.
Yeah. It's going to be twice as bad as the Holocaust in the birth pains. That's what it says in Zechariah. Twice as bad as the Holocaust.
So,
Yep. Twice as bad.
was the Holocaust prophetically?
Yes. Okay. Okay, don't get distracted. That's at the very, very, very end of the birth pains. But we're at the very beginning of the birth pains. That's what we're trying to focus on. The very beginning of the birth pains. Now, those 7 years is described right here. She gives birth. Israel gives birth to the Messiah. All of Israel shall be saved. She gives birth to a son, the male child who is to rule all the Gentiles with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to God into his throne. And the woman, Israel, fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared by God, so that she was hidden for 3.5 years. The second half of the birth. So, the way I see it is in the middle of the birth pains, that baby's born. In the middle of the birth pains, at the abomination of desolation, when that takes place, that's it. Then all of Israel gets saved, and they flee.
That makes
And they're
sense.
protected.
It makes sense because this anti-Messiah, during that time, he's going to stop the sacrifices. He's going to desolate the temple.
He's going to do what Titus Epiphanes did to the temple.
All the Jews are going to pull out their hair, rend their clothes, and say, "What's going on?" And that's probably this thing.
Yeah.
And flee.
Okay, so that's the birth pains of the Messiah. So let me quiz you. When did the birth pains occur?
Beginning of the seven. The last week, the missing week.
I need to hear one of them.
On Shabbat.
Specifically when? When did it start?
6001.
6001, what day? What day?
Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh Hashanah.
Because they're beginning to
Look at your
repent.
thing.
Because they're beginning to repent.
Okay.
Well, we
Yeah,
see it,
yeah.
Jacob is getting
Right, okay, very good. I don't really think we can do
Michael.
more.
This is so funny that you would be teaching this on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's New Year's Eve.
Golly, go figure.
Let's do just
The
a
last
little
day
bit
of
more.
Hanukkah too?
Yeah, this is a good teaching.
It is.
At least the Gregorian Hellenistic New Year's Eve.
True. Okay, let's do,
That's funny.
let's go back to the Torah portion, Genesis 41, and let's skip through the story to 41:35. So Joseph, in giving his, talking to, what's his name, Pharaoh, he says, verse 35, "Then let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming, and store up the grain for food in the cities under Pharaoh's hand, and let them guard it." This is the resurrection. This is the ingathering of the Jewish people. So I thought that because it said ingathering, I thought it was going to be the word otsar. But it's not. And I thought, well, otsar, I'm not otsar. Osef, I'm sorry. Osef. Osef means to gather grain. To gather grain. I thought it was going to be Osef. Like Sukkot is Hag HaAsaf, the feast of ingathering. I thought that's what it was going to be. I was wrong. So here's what it is. It's not the word asaf, it's the word kibbutz.
Kibbutz,
Yeah, kibbutz. It's yikbutzu, which comes from the word kavatz, which is kibbutz, the same word. Kavatz, which means to take, to grasp with the hand, to grab with the fingers, to collect. That's why I call it kibbutz, a collective, a socialist collective. To collect, to be gathered, to be collected, or to congregate. That's what the word means. And I'm thinking, well, man, this has got to be a saf, which means a congregation. And it's not. It's even better. It's an even better word. Kibbutz, which means to congregate.
Can you
So-
associate that with Sukkot?
Sure. Because this is the ingathering.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So it's to be collected or congregate. An ingathering, an idiom for, guess what? The resurrection. The resurrection is the ingathering.
Yes.
Because it's God grasping with his hand and congregating all of his righteous before him.
Which is what he did when he came as Yeshua.
That's exactly right. That's what he did when he came as Yeshua.
Together.
He did. He said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and he gathered all of his righteous work.
That's what a shepherd does. He goes and gets the one for.
This is that.
That is correct. Okay, so it's used of God bringing back the exiles. This word kibbutz. So I'm going to show you a couple instances of the use of the word kibbutz to gather, to congregate. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Even when I think I'm speaking real slow, I'm probably speaking too fast.
Yes.
I think I
Thank
was-
God we're recording this.
Yeah. Deuteronomy 30, verse 3. Now remember, we're looking for,
Kibbutz.
let me back up. We're looking for what Joseph said to do. He said, gather, kibbutz, all the grain, so that it will be saved for the bad time. It won't happen. Got it? We're going to gather all the grain, good grain, so it'll be saved from the bad
That
time.
makes so much sense. Right. The 2 theaters.
Yes, the 2 theaters. This is the 2 theaters. Theaters. Deuteronomy 30, verse 3. Then, this is talking prophetically, by the way. This is prophecy. Then the Lord your God will restore you, kibbutz you, from captivity, and have compassion on you, and will kibbutz you again from all the peoples where the Lord your God has scattered you. So this is God gathering all the Jews together.
So the fields are white and ready for.
That's exactly what he was saying.
That's an evangelist.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of verses he was quoting in the prophets. That the fields are white, they're white to harvest, ready to harvest, to be gathered in, to kibbutz them.
It's like
This is talking about Israel.
happening thousands of years apart, but at the same time.
Yes, that's a mikra,
This is
a rehearsal. All the festivals are a mikra and a moed. Moed means an appointment, listen. And a mikra means a rehearsal. It's over and over and over and over and over, exactly the same. It's pattern.
Because we learn from it.
Michael, just to add to that, you ever added micro and macro to mikra? Small on
No,
earth and
no.
big in heaven.
No, that's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Small on earth, micro.
Micro,
and
macro in heaven.
Hey, that's cool. I like that. Isaiah 40. Good. Goes along with Jeremiah. Isaiah 40. Verse 11. Like a shepherd, he will tend his flock. Let's go back to verse 10. Behold, the Lord God will come with might, with his arm ruling for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his recompense before him. Like a shepherd, he will tend his flock. In his arm, he will kibbutz the lambs and carry them in his bosom. He will gently lead the nursing ewes. Same thing we were just saying. That's a never said.
Yeah, I see that. So clear.
Yeah. Okay, Jeremiah 23.
That's the deal.
Level 7 seal. That's where my brother used to live in Israel. Level 7 seal. He used to live there. Jeremiah 23.
If you put that in the Google search, that's all that comes up.
Yeah.
That's
Then I myself will kibbutz the remnant of my flock out of all the countries where I have driven them, and shall bring them back to their pasture, and they will be fruitful and multiply. This is talking about God gathering together all the Jews.
right here in these verses, I see the middle of the birthdays. Whenever all the Jews are scattered to all the nations, and he's returning them.
Yes, it's
In
just
the
like,
middle of the birthdays.
hold on, just like everything else, not in the middle. At the end. Just like everything else in Judaism, you have picture on top of picture on top of picture. The resurrection is a kibbutz of the righteous. But also, there's going to be another regathering of Israel after the birth pangs at Sukkot. All right, Jeremiah 31, verse 10. Listen to the word of the Lord, O Gentiles, and declare it in the coastlands far off. And say, he who scattered Israel will kibbutz them, and keep him as a shepherd keeps his flock.
Interesting.
In the future, he's talking about the future. All right. Now, the word ingathering is an idiom for the resurrection in Judaism. It's an idiom, it's a code word. You read the word ingathering in Judaism, you immediately are supposed to think of gathering together from earth to heaven.
But
Because it's an idiom
that
for
would
the
be
resurrection.
the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai and Sukkot also. They're both in gatherings. Shavuot. There's one, and the same with Passover. I'm not trying to confuse the issue, but they're all in gatherings.
Ah, I see where you're going with that picture.
Yeah, and this thing that I'm about to say will prove what you're saying.
Thank you.
Look, ingathering is an idiom for the resurrection. At the blowing of the shofar, in Rosh Hashanah, Rev Saadia Gaon gave 10 reasons for the blowing of the shofar. Number 9 is to recall our faith in the ingathering of Israel's dispersed, to awaken our yearning for it. As it says, and it shall be in that day. In what day? Day of the Lord, that a great shofar will sound, and those perishing in the land of Assyria and those dispersed in Egypt will come. In those 10 reasons for the blowing of the shofar, it talks about to remember Shavuot and the giving of the 10 words. It talks about to remember the passing through the Red Sea. It says to remember that we lived under Sukkot for 40 years in the wilderness. It says all the feasts are laid one right on top of the other. That all of them are a picture of the same thing over and over and over and over again. So yeah, that's absolutely true. Okay. Do you want to do the very last thing? Go for it.
Yes.
Maybe the next verse or the.
Oh yeah, let's do the next one, and we'll end with that. Genesis 41:40. Genesis 41:40. So Pharaoh says, he responds, you shall be over my house, and according to your mouth, all my people will kiss your mouth. Only in the throne I will be greater than you. Now that's translated, all my people will pay homage to you. But by the way, the TLV has a little note on the bottom that
I was going to ask you.
says, kiss the mouth.
41.
Kiss the mouth, kiss the Lord, lest you perish.
Very close. Very.
Yeah.
You both twisted that up a little bit.
Yeah, we twisted
You're not
it
the
up.
right version. So here in the picture, Yeshua, Joseph is taken up out of prison,
Right.
and he's made into the king of the world.
Right. No. Shaliah. Ambassador.
Yes, he's made into the king of the world.
Okay.
Only in my throne will I be greater than you. That's all. The only thing that I'm above you in is that I am on my throne. I'm not giving that up. That's what Pharaoh says. So this is a picture of God and Yeshua in the day of the Lord. And Joseph, as Yeshua, says, and Pharaoh says about him, all the people will kiss your mouth. But it's translated, do homage to you. This is Psalm 2. This is seen in Psalm 2.
That's all the nations.
Yes, all the nations. This is a messianic passage. All the rabbis see it as a messianic passage. Verse 12. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the derech, in the way, because his wrath may soon be kindled. How does he take refuge in you? There's always good and bad here. So when it says do homage, it's kiss the Son. This is the Messiah reigning over all the Gentiles now.
Yeah.
So now remember, it goes on. You know, Joseph reigned and reigned and reigned over Egypt for quite a while.
Yeah.
And that's a picture of the day of the Lord. After the birth pangs, the rest of the day of the Lord, the good part, in which Joseph reigns over the earth, and
There was grain.
Yeshua reigns over the earth, and all the nations have to worship. Every knee shall bow, and every tongue confess that Yeshua is the Messiah, but all mouths shall kiss him. You know, when we worship, like when we're, I don't know if you guys have ever been to one, but during Hoshana Rabbah and during Shemini Atzeret, when you dance around with the Torah scroll, and it's Shavuot, you dance around the Torah scroll, you kiss the scroll.
Yeah.
You kiss it. Why? And you kiss the mezuzah when you go in and out of the house. Why? Because you're worshiping. You're doing homage. You're paying homage. That comes from this passage. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry. And so the rabbis will kiss the Torah scroll, kiss the mezuzah, kiss tefilah, kiss wherever there's scripture. Kiss the Bible. If you drop a Bible, pick it up, kiss it.
And it says, and you perish along the dead end. So the dead end means the way of the Lord.
Yes.
So it's like, kiss, honor him, so that you won't perish along this way, along the way.
That death is the way. It's what they call believers in the first century. All right, so the rest you can get on your own.
Suffer not the nail.
You can get it on your own. You can. That we didn't do all of it. I skipped several.
I know what you did the last
I
time.
know.
Even Button, his evil brothers.
Right. All right. It goes on and on and on. This is how it always is with pictures. You just keep going and going and going and going and going.
That's right.
Because they're all so incredibly consistent. Father, thank you for your Torah. I kiss you, Lord. I thank you so much for your pictures and for all the clarity that you give through learning your pictures. And I ask that you would spread pictures and spread pictures and spread pictures, Lord. That you would make it easier and easier and easier to see them for us. And Lord, I ask that your Ruach would take all of these concepts, all of these words, all these chunks, and just embed it into our hearts and our minds and our spirit, so that it comes back up when we need it. We can start putting all the pieces of the puzzle together.